Hello, everyone. This is Liang Zhao, Director for the Division of Quantitative Method Modeling, or as OGD CEDAR. It is my great pleasure to share some thoughts on best practices and model master files to leverage model integrated evidence to bring complex generics to the market. There are mainly four areas in regulatory science and research to support generic drug development and approval. Modeling simulation are an indispensable part and play a pivotal role in all of them. Model integrated evidence refer to using MIEs such as the virtual B study results not just to plan a pivotal study, but to serve as evidential information. MIE has had an increasing value generation for approving high-quality generics. In the same time, it comes with both challenges and opportunities. Challenges include knowledge, technical barrier as a result of a developing ecosystem from the generic drug industry as opposed in the new drug industry. In practice, novel models with high complexity can always face the initial challenge of model standardization. In many times, existing data to verify and validate the model, so-called model V&V, can be minimal or do not exist. Generating data for model V&V can also be a time-consuming and costly investment. Once a model has been developed and received sufficient model V&V, it can become a perpetual intellectual property that are shareable across products for different formulations. For those that have received regulatory acceptance, they can potentially exist as model master files that can be reused for the same purpose. Before we discuss model master files, you can appreciate a list of nice characteristics associated with the drug master files. For example, DMF holders can authorize one or more applicants or sponsors to incorporate reference information contained in the DMF without having to disclose that information to the applicants or sponsors. For drug master files, they do not need to be re-reviewed for subsequent applications. In comparison, model master files can be viewed as portable, reusable, generalizable, and shareable models as well. For potential model master files, not every time model will need a master file to be shared. Certainly, we may not want to give rise to operational unnecessity here. Generally, models with challenging to get proprietary information and/or that need large data set from other sources to verify and validate may benefit from having master files. This slide gives the list of such models as well as models that can be easily duplicated from scientific publications. For those that can be easily duplicated, we may not need the master files. What are the benefits for model master files? First, it by nature can serve as a communication tool that will bring public awareness on utilities of the relevant models, regulatory acceptance on certain models, and the steps to verify and validate a model with sufficient details. It can certainly help cost saving for both industry and the agency. It can support the standardization of model building and model V&V. The model master files can communicate the current status quo for particular model development and serve as a benchmark for further model advance. Currently, there are mainly three types of models that can be critically used for drug delivery and BE assessment. PBPK models for locally acting products, PBPK models for oral absorptions, and quantitative clinical pharmacology models. The successful application of a PBPK modeling for locally acting generic drug product has been shown in the case of diclofenac sodium topical gel approval. The product was approved based on a totality of evidence, including a virtual B assessment, leveraging thermal PBPK modeling simulation, instead of a comparative clinical endpoint study in patients. The modeling approach demonstrated the BE between the generic reference products as the presumed site of action by characterizing the relationship between systemic and local drug exposures. The model Van-Wy process involved assessing the goodness of fit for observed data of diclofenac concentrations in skin tissues and plasma. Of note, the model Van-Wy also includes the overall performance of the model platform for predicting local and systemic exposures of relevant products following the same route of delivery. The case serves as an example of using PBPK modeling and simulation for B assessment, as well as providing an example for good practices for model Van-Wy for dermatological drug products. For the second case, PDBE bronchoprovocation study included a considerable amount of censored values in the PD response, which are the PC20 data. Model-based data imputation has critically contributed to the approval of the generic version of Albuterol sulfate inhalation aerosol. The modeling approach, along with some sensitivity analysis, improved the credibility of the PD model and provided model-integrated evidence to support its final approval as one of the first generics in 2020. This likelihood-based modeling approach to perform data imputation for censored values can represent a good practice when appropriate situation arises. The associated modeling approach is also named as M3 model in the field of pharmacometrics. For the third case, for a topical product, its comparative clinical endpoint study showed a BE for test and reference and superiority of test to placebo. However, the study failed to show reference superiority to placebo. A modeling simulation approach was used to assess the risk of bioinequivalence in this situation. Simulation results show the risk is low and bridged the study result and supported the BE establishment. This again demonstrated a practice that have gained regulatory acceptance under this situation. For the fourth case, a modeling approach has been used to assess the impact of deviation in particle size distribution between test and reference products. Based on the PBPK model developed for this particular product that have been sufficiently verified and validated, simulations have shown that the chance for observed D90 deviation to lead to bioinequivalence is low. Consequently, the PBPK modeling simulation results supported its tentative approval. We believe the same practice can be applied to this and other products when facing similar situations. In the end, my presentation is mainly to stimulate further thoughts on qualifying models that have been accepted by the agency into model master files. With the arrival of model master files, we can make these regulatory uses of the models publicly available and level the playground and lower the barrier to use the same or similar practices by all stakeholders, especially for the underprivileged smaller or mid-sized companies. Particularly, we would welcome further thoughts from the panel on the list of questions like how to define and share model master files, how to deal with proprietary information, how to take a business interest into account. With that, I would like, with all of the stimulating presentations, open the panel discussion regarding future modeling investments to bring the best practices and model master files into practice.